Hello everybody, this is Dr. Novak again. In this video I want to talk about what a lot of us have probably seen is people like to throw around the words natural system or nature aquarium or natural system aquarium. And I've seen these videos where people, they literally are kind of bragging that I haven't done a water change, let's say in 5 years, or I have this natural aquarium, it's got no pumps, nothing, it has lights on it, and that's it. Basically, it's aquarium with plants and lights and no pumps, no filters. But now I've seen a lot of these, and a lot of them don't look good, these aquariums. A lot of the plants look anemic, there's no water flow. They have small little fish or small fish load. So they're not catering to the fish as much as they're catering to the plants that are in the aquarium. Well, this is no big feat of having a natural aquarium. You do it with a betta. We've been doing it since I was a child, that you could put a betta in a small bowl or a goldfish in a bowl with nothing in it, no air pumps, no nothing, and they do just fine. And you would change the water once a week or once a month or whatever. And another fish that was treated that way was the paradise fish. That was the very first tropical fish that we kept because of its water parameters and its temperature that it could take. But having an aquarium or fish bowl or something that's pretty well maintains itself, that's nothing new, okay? It's been going on for a long time, ever since I've been in the hobby. Now, the picture that you see over here, that is a natural aquarium, or as natural as I've ever seen in my life. It doesn't have any pumps, no filters, it has a substrate, and it's out in the sun. That's what I would call a natural aquarium. It's running off of itself. The fish load was very minimal, and maybe had some shrimp in it, and that's right here in Florida. It was outside. And even my goldfish aquarium, my antique aquarium, I have it sitting right next to a window. And it runs off of a single canister filter. So in other words, that's all it needs. It doesn't need any air pumps. It doesn't need anything. It runs off of a canister filter using an anoxic filter. And if you watch my previous videos, you will see that this is what they teach in college and universities about anoxic filters, and this is how to complete the nitrogen cycle, which is breaking down ammonia and then going all the way to the very end under anoxic conditions and making N2. We know this is the way it's being taught in our universities and everything else, and our wastewater management is run this way because of laws that we have here in the United States. And if you think about it, the antique aquarium, and here, I'll show you that. So you have the antique aquarium here, and basically it's run off of a canister filter. I can remove all the plants, which I did, and have goldfish that are real messy, and that's it. It has no bubblers, no nothing. I have a skimmer, of course, off to the side. That's that Eheim skimmer, and I use that as extra water movement. Is it necessary? No. No. So actually the whole thing can be run bare bottom with a canister filter. Okay, so I wanted to show you that because It doesn't need plants. It doesn't need light. In fact, it's highly encouraged that if you want to grow bacteria, just like they teach in our universities and colleges and stuff, dark places are the best. Bacteria like nice dark spots to grow. That's why when you create a BCB bag or basket, putting it in a dark spot is better than putting it in a highly lit spot. Bacteria like dark spots. So you take a tank like this, and basically it's relying on the canister filter, which you could use any canister filter you want. Make yourself a BCB basket or bags, put them in the filter, and maintain a filter even with messy goldfish, which I have shown in previous videos, that this canister filter does. Even when you clean it, you don't clean the bags or the BCB basket. You set it off to the side. You may rinse it a little bit or add kitty litter if any is coming out. Other than that, you clean everything else. You don't have to worry about cleaning it in tank water or anything. Put it all back together and put it on the tank, and boom, it's good. You haven't destroyed your bacteria. That counts. So when we look at stuff like this, and we look at tanks are pretty simple. You think about it. They may use a hang on the back. They may use a bubbler. That could be for cosmetic reasons or oxygen reasons. Is it a necessity? No. And that's really about it. Then you put your substrate in. And if you want plants, fine. If you don't want plants, that's fine too. But when these people say natural systems, it's all loaded full of plants to begin with. And they usually use a particular substrate topography, if you want to call it that, that they have mixed up. Could have been from somebody else who said, do it this way. And they call it natural. Well, if you use artificial light, that's not natural. Mother Nature only uses sunlight. Like the two tanks I showed you, those use natural sunlight. So they're not quite natural. Plus, you don't have a natural system unless you do like Mother Nature and have ammonia into N2 as your end byproduct. You start out with ammonia, you end up with N2 as your byproduct. So you need to have some sort of standard. And in like engineering or anything else, tool and die, molds, anything that we have as humans, we have a standard. You have a standard like a gauge block or what they call Joe blocks, gauge blocks. These are standard. They're highly precision blocks that are put together to measure things. And they cost quite a lot of money. And everything that we do is based off of that standard. That is our standard of accuracy. And when you buy those blocks, you buy them in the millions to the billions of accuracy, depending on how much you want to spend on them. The finish you want on them, the micro finish that's going to be on the surfaces. There's a lot of things, but these are what we use to gauge and set micrometers and everything else, to double test everything. And every so many years, those gauge blocks have to be sent in and recalibrated, find out what's good, what's bad, what falls in the tolerance, because you may have gauge blocks that are plus or minus 1/1,000,000th of an inch. So they have to be recertified to make sure they fall into that tolerance of plus or minus 1/1,000,000th of an inch of accuracy. When we look at a fish tank, what are we basing when we say the word natural? What are we basing off that? What is our standard? If we're using an outside source like a natural pond, I'm not talking man-made, I'm talking natural, one that Mother Nature makes, then we're not even close. Unfortunately, we're not even close because water is constantly moving in and out of the substrate in a natural pond. That's the way Mother Nature has done it. Man-made ponds are a little different. You can't move water in and out of a man-made pond because if it moved out, how does it move back in? And most man-made ponds are made so water cannot leave them. They're there for a reason, like a retention, or they're there for cosmetic, or they're there for animal life. You see a lot of this in Florida. I'll be doing some videos on lakes and ponds here, and a lot of them are man-made. Some are natural, but a lot of them are all man-made. They may have sandy bottoms to them and everything. These are designed to retain water, but not move water through them like natural systems. So do we base our aquarium off of a natural system? Well, then we can't use the word natural because it doesn't mimic or come close to how a natural system works. So using these words, it's because we're using plants. Well, what if the hobbyist doesn't want plants and they still want a, quote, natural system? What if you don't want plants? Can you have a natural system without plants? Well, the closest we can come mimic such a thing would be, I would say, a BCB basket. It naturally allows water to move in and out of it, ions to move in and out of it like a natural system, and it does the complete nitrogen cycle from ammonia to N2 as a natural system would. Because not all natural systems out there have plants. I've seen lots of ponds that exist that had no plants. I've seen them where they do have plants, such as water lily, cattail, arrow. They may have plants, and I've seen other naturally made ponds that had no plant life at all yet. They could be young, but this could be the reason. They just haven't been inoculated with plants from some source. So it looks like when people say natural, does this mean because it has plants? Natural systems don't have plants necessarily. Some do, some don't. I'm talking about Mother Nature. So we can realize that to have a natural aquarium, you don't need plants, or you can use plants. A natural aquarium, they say, I don't use any pumps, I don't use any filters. So in other words, you have stagnated water. But this is nothing unusual because we've kept paradise fish that way. I have. We kept bettas that we have in stagnated water, basically. Only their body movement is going to move any of the water around in the container which they are in. This is nothing new, okay, in the hobby to have those kind of conditions. But you have the other one, oh, I use this method. And they almost pride themselves on, I haven't done a water change in 5 years or 10 years. It's like, what is your point? The point of what you're coming to is what? Of course, these people who claim all these natural systems, they don't do any tests for you. Well, okay, what's your water parameters? Let's start doing some tests. What do you really got there? You got a sewerage dump, or do you have an aquarium? You're not telling us. You're just bragging that, oh, it's natural, haven't done a water change. Okay, prove it to us. Show us how great the system's running. They don't. So I just thought, with this video, I'm going to end it here. Take everything with a grain of salt. Don't take anything and then not question like I just did. Well, why don't you do tests on that tank? Let us see what the redox is and what's really going on. And show us a close-up, not these camera shots that are far. Let's start really getting into the close-up of the tank. Let's see how the plants look and everything else, and see how wonderful it looks. They always have a shot that's far away, you know, and they don't show you really close-ups of the plants. Like I've shown you with my tank. I've gotten right up there, right in your face, showing you the plants. Well, let's see the close-ups. They don't do that. Unless the tank is like brand new. But let's see some of these things. And then how much work did you do to it? Did you replace any of the plants? Put new plants in that 5 years? Or are these the existing plants that you started out with 5 years ago? That's what I mean. Take it with a grain of salt. Always ask questions. That's what professors want when you go to their classes. They want you to ask questions. It means you're listening. It means you're trying to learn. Ask questions of these people. Don't we ever ask questions of these other YouTubers and say, hey, you're showing us tanks, but you're not showing us your parameters and tests and anything else that you're doing on those tanks to show to us that what's right or what's wrong. Anyhow, until next time, this is Dr. Novak. I guess this video was more food for thought when you watch these, when people fling around the words natural and nature aquariums. You know, no, they're far from it. Once you go into, and if you go South America or here in the United States or whatever, you know, you look at a tank and you say, wow, that does not look like here in South America, in Brazil. You know, no, it doesn't look the same. Or when you go to a pond here that's not man-made, you'd be saying to yourself, no, that does not quite look the same. No, it's not. So until next time, this is Dr. Novak. I hope you enjoyed the video. And happy fish keeping. And thank you for watching.